care if you voted for me. I'm Mark Palchick. I'm a 70-year-old stand-up comic, but please, you don't need to call the paramedics. I am perfectly capable of standing up by myself without assistance. Look, Ma, no hands. I mean, after all, I am younger than the next president of the United States. 2020 has been an interesting year. We all agree. And it has confirmed my long-held belief that winning is definitional. Normally, getting hit is not a win. But if you could go 3 rounds with Mike Tyson and walk out of the ring, that's a win. Normally, getting to go visit your relatives for Christmas, that's a win. In 2020, not having to visit the ICU, that's a win. In 2020, Joe Biden won the election. He's going to be president. He's going to have to work 24/7. He'll get paid only $400,000 a year. Donald Trump lost the election, doesn't have to do a thing. And people have paid him and are paying him over $200 million to do nothing. Now that's winning. And of course, maybe because he has a great lawyer like Rudy Giuliani. One of the great researchers in this country, do you know he found a document that proves the North did not win the Civil War? Yeah, Trump did. Look, 2020 has got everything so crazy. I mean, most days, I don't know what day it is. Monday morning, I got up and I got dressed for church. And then I remembered, I don't go to church on Monday morning. I'm Jewish. I don't go to church at all. The pandemic, though, has actually been really good for my adult kids. Before the pandemic, they had to come up with these creative excuses for us not to see them. Now it's, Mom, Dad, it's a pandemic. You really should socially distance. It's about your health. Oh, come on, kids. Why can't we visit you? You live in our basement. 2020 has really been a year of protests. And I got to tell you, I'm impressed with most of the protesters. They've really stepped up their game since I marched in the 60s. Do you know they've got videographers? They've got medics. They even have sponsorships. Today's protest is brought to you by Taco Bell. Because why should the police be the only ones with gas? I grew up in Akron, Ohio in the 60s, actually before most of you were born. Well, okay, all of you were born. There was nothing to do in Akron in the 60s. Well, that is, except for going to evangelical churches to be saved. And I went. You know, I got to see the Reverend Rex Humbard preach at the cathedral tomorrow. Wow, he was amazing. He was so charismatic. He was so powerful. I can still hear him preaching today. Ah, have the power to take away all of your sins. Ah, have the power to take away all of your ills. Ah, have the power to take all major credit cards. But not American Express. Boy, howdy, I wanted that power. So I went to my career counselor and I said, Rabbi, I want to be an evangelical preacher. And that's when I found out they don't let Jews do that. So Akron in the 60s was not really friendly to Jewish boys. I got jumped in the 9th grade by Mike Dawson. He wanted to see a Jew boy's horns and tail. Ooh. What an idiot. I got rid of those when I was circumcised. My entire time in high school, I sang choir. I sang in the choir. I was a tenor. And Mr. Thompson, the choir leader, was so encouraging to everyone. Sally, You're a soprano. Reach for those high notes. Very, very good. Raquel, you're an alto. Round those tones. Oh, excellent. Brick, you're a bass. Sing from that diaphragm. Oh, excellent. Palchick, sing softer. I can still hear you. Just move your lips. Don't even breathe. In the 60s, Christmas was a very, very Christian holiday. And all the school choirs were expected to sing all the very Christian Christmas carols. Jesus this, Christ that. Being Jewish, it made me feel really uncomfortable. So I substituted my brother Bryce's name for Jesus and for Christ. I sang about baby Bryce, Bryce Almighty, fall on your knees, the Bryce is born. Maybe that's why he ended up with a God complex and became a doctor. Of course, you know the old joke about the difference between doctors and God. God knows that she's not a doctor. Actually, the hardest thing about growing up in the 60s was being Jewish in the 60s. I mean, we had no Christmas, so we got no toys. We had no Easter, so we got no candy. And we had no foreskins. So we got more satisfaction. Now I live in Washington, D.C., and I love it. Except, you know, it's getting so expensive. I mean, you wouldn't believe what it costs these days to buy a politician. And they're not worth it. No. DC's got a politician that tweeted the Jews control the weather. The Jews, really? We haven't been able to control the weather since we left Egypt the first time. And if we really had that superpower, you know, we'd just keep New York warm. Because nobody wants to go to Florida. My 7 decades on this blue marble have taught me that as people age, their preferences change. A young man at 22 dreams of having a mistress who's young and sexy and tall like Hetty and will dress up like a nurse. An old man of 92 dreams of having a mistress that's an actual nurse. The young man really, really wants his mistress to knock his socks off. The old man really wants his mistress to help him get his socks back on. Look, I hate the fact that just because I'm 70, that people think I'm old. Oh, why aren't you retired yet? What, you couldn't get a millennial to do your job? Wow, you're 70 and you know how to use a Zoom background? My grandmother doesn't even know how to find the any key. Hit the any key? Which one's the any key? Look, age is an attitude, not a number. Well, unless, of course, you've been pushed off that great cliff, you know, lost your job because of your age. And then it's a short tumble. You lose your job, you lose your sense of self-worth. Before you know it, you are sitting in death's waiting room. Florida. Look, I don't think you're old unless your side piece is a night nurse. Your wife appreciates the help. And I'm not old. I'll have you know I walk my dog every day, twice a day for 2 hours. It should only be an hour and a half, but you know that dog stops every 10 minutes so I can pee. Thank you. I'm Mark Palchick.